What is going on YouTube, y'all squad? This is your boy YahCrateas. This is your review for Love and Marriage DC Season 2. Believe this is episode 3, possibly 4, but I'm going to say 3. It'll be in the title. This gave me a lot to talk about. There is a good chance that by the time we get to the very last scene, I'll preface it. And because I think I might share some of my life to kind of shed some light on why I feel the way that I feel. Because between that and Ashley with her mom, yeah, no. So let's just get into it, okay? So we pick up where we left off. We have Arena. She felt like Winter should have told the person that sent her those DMs, not to send me anything else. And I'm looking at it from the perspective, okay, if I'm not cool with you, then why would I? Not just in general. Like if you're not a messy person or whatever, just like, yeah, why are you sending me this? Don't send me nothing else. At the same exact time, though, if you're getting ammunition, you never know when you might need it. Right, right. And as I'm saying that, let me pull up because I took a picture of the actual text because I'm gonna read it. I didn't write it, but I'm gonna read it. Okay. Um, let me see. And Winter claims that she didn't respond based off of what we saw, because I have it right here. I'm going to read it momentarily. She didn't respond. And Irena says, why keep it? And then there's some seamless back and forth. And Winter asks, okay, well, why didn't you just text me back when it's because for her, we could have easily rectified this like real quick, like. And Irena says, because I didn't have to. So here we go. You didn't text her back because you didn't have to. So, and if I was Winter, I would have been like, well, guess what? I didn't tell this person not to send me anything else like this because I didn't have to. I kept it because I wanted to. And you have and based off of how this was, Irena came in. Why didn't y'all tell me I didn't switch venues? Hold on. Y'all did not even tell me that I did not switch venues. I'm still sitting here giving y'all Potomac. Hold on. Da, da, da. There we go. Y'all should have told me. Wrong background. Anyway. But that would have been me. And he ran and said, I deleted you. I blocked you. So my thing is, if you deleted her and you blocked her, then why are you mad that she has this receipt? And Winter says, yeah, when you block me, especially, she's like, and I blocked you too, especially after that threatening tweet. And Winter had apparently called Irena mute when it comes to how she is with Jamie. And Irena's reply is, or her reply tweet is, you must don't know me in real life. You better pray I don't see you in these DC streets. I will show you how mute I am. And he ran the whole thing. Well, that could have meant anything. Yeah, but look. We can play some baddies and whatnot. Yeah, that was a threat. That's just it is what it is. It's a threat. Arena gets up and says, "Don't mention my family. We're not friends. We will never be friends." So it really seems like the intent was just for her to come there to say that. It doesn't seem like that was, "Hey, let me try to reconcile or anything like that." Now here's what the actual DM said. While filming the reunion, asked Irena why she had the nerve to ask Winter if she was a scammer. It was Irena who was fired from the federal government for credit card fraud. Now, this is obviously after the reunion, but this was meant to, hey, when you come back, here goes the stuff. And it's just like, ooh. Ooh, and the fact they actually showed us to where we could actually read this, somebody go do some that go research. I ain't gonna be the one to do it. And then says, ask Jamie why he won't mention their separation and all the women he dealt with over the years. Or why Duke, I don't know, okay, I'm sorry, the trainer was fired for sleeping with Arena, or why Jamie has cussed Arena out in front of folks at his parties and left with other women. Now, we did see him go off on her last season. He ain't leave with another woman because I think Arena just got back in the vehicle and left, but we have seen him do that. Or why they acting like they raised and this was the part that she read, raised Jason when that boy was shipped off to school in Baltimore and he's only home because he aged out, and then they moved her mother in so they could run the streets. And later on, they did make a good point, and we all felt the way like it's not that they shipped him off to a school. Like he's at a school to that can meet his needs. There are some schools where like most schools, you drop a kid off, pick them back up, and then there's some where they can just stay there, kind of have a dorm room. Whatnot. He aged out, he graduated. That's why he's back home. Now moving the mother in, I don't know about that. And then last piece, why doesn't Jamie mention he's a police officer? So all of that. So like, whew. So that was the DMs that she got. So now we get Ashley and Kimberly, her mom. Now, I'm team Ashley in this conversation, but Ashley did do some things where I'm just like, see, you help set a tone. Okay, you got to be mindful of these things. So she says this is her childhood home. She hasn't been there in 20 years. And, she brings her to her mother, brings her up to speed on her book. Her mother asks, what is the book about? She said it's a self rediscovery journal, how to forgive people who hurt you in the past, how to be yourself, take accountability. I think that's a good chapter for you to read. Now, I want to mention before she said this, her mother is eating, so I don't know if the mom offered her food, but I kind of don't like if one person eats it and the other person in, because it almost seems as if she's not interested. Like that kind of seemed a little bit weird to me. Plus, her mom knew they were filming, so it's like you couldn't eat beforehand. Nevertheless, but when Ashley said accountability, oh, and that's a chapter you might want to read right there. This is like it, you're setting the tone, and now you're creating an environment to where there can be back and forth, because now what is the intention of you having this conversation with your mother? Was it really for reconciliation? Because that was a jab. Nevertheless, Kimberly says she knows how to be accountable and doesn't need a book for that. I didn't get to be 62 years old by being a dummy. Right here, I hate when people do that too, because if you don't see it, her saying that she's 62 years old, that is her literally trying to pull rank. Whenever somebody has to go out of their way to mention how old they are to you, it means that I want you to understand that I am an elder, and in essence, I am trying to son you, or in this case, literally, you are my daughter. That's all of that was. And says what I've done in the past. She says what I've done is in the past, and that's where it should stay for you. And I say this all the time. Just you might be a different person than where you were in the past, but whatever or whoever you were to someone way back when, that is who you were then. And you have so many people that I don't want you to tell your story, because the version of me in your story is not who I am now, and I don't want that being told. So because I don't want to be told you're stifled and you need to sit there with all of that, I think that not. Anyway, Ashley says, I don't think you know how the past can still hurt. I carry around a lot of guilt from age 16 from when you left. Jumping right into it. And she says, I know you made up your side of the story. And she's like, it's not made up. No, that's what the mother said. And actually, it's not made up. And the mom says, you claim when you were 16, I left like you didn't have family in the house. Now, again, when people talk, you got to listen to how they phrase it. Because what she's saying is, I did leave, but there was still people there for you. That's because here's the thing. She never said she didn't have family. She said she didn't have her mother. And then she says the bills were paid. Your sister was there, your god brother. You were 16. You were 16 years old, a grown woman. Now, by virtue of age, her mother's a baby boomer. Baby boomer. Her mother is a baby boomer by virtue of age, which a lot of baby boomers think comes from the silent generation, their parents. So for her to think that her daughter was grown at 16, that is indicative of the silent generation and the generations before them thinking that once a woman starts going through puberty that she is considered a woman. Very archaic, but that is kind of what that is. So in her mind, I can just leave you by yourself, and also feeling because I am providing you the basic necessities, which is food, shelter, and clothing, which let Ashley tell it her like she had to buy her own groceries. So I guess whatever money that was left. So in her mother's idea, I'm giving you all of what I need to give you, so you are okay. Not okay. And Ashley says, I may have looked grown, might have been mature for my age, but I was a little girl. And then we're also not going to talk about how in this world it's been painted, that African Americans of a certain age are, looked at and treated as adults when they're actually not. But that's another conversation for another day. But anyway, she says, you up and left with a suitcase, and I didn't see you for weeks. And, says she left for a man for years, put him before me. He left in essence when she decided to play grandma. I'm like, oh, that's a burn. Kimberly says she took care of her whether she was in the house or not. Again, you're taking care of the physical. What about the mental, the emotional, the scarring that you have, done to your daughter? And some of that actually still kind of plays out later. Hopefully, I remember because I didn't actually make a note of that, but hopefully, I remember when we get towards the end. Um, and she said, "I love you. I'm sorry. I love you all more than anything in this world. You don't know it, but God knows, and everybody else knows." And though the mother feels this way, I'm gonna keep it all the way honest. Okay, when her mother, because you got to kind of watch it, her mother saying, I love you more than anything, and God knows it, and everybody else knows it. In this moment, what she was doing is she saw that stuff was getting hot and getting spicy. She tapped into that emotion that she could because she's trying to shift the mode, shift the energy. And I didn't like that. And as she said, I never said you didn't love me, but if I am saying something hurt me, and the mother quickly says, I'm sorry. Because again, let me shut this down so we don't have to open this door and I don't have to set accountability. And I'm gonna come right back here to say this, even with that, when she's like, I love you. And trust me when I say, by the end of 2022, actually, I think it's probably November that I had the revelation that, and I think I said this before, just because somebody loves you don't mean they like you. Just because they love you don't mean they respect you. Just because they love you don't mean they care about you. Tina Turner said it best, what's love got to do with it? Okay, and look, I've seen it to where I've seen people who love someone treat that person like garbage, but a person that they like, they treat them like gold. Because sometimes the stuff that you like, you treat it better than what you love, because you know that because of this idea of what love is and family, that person is always going to be there. So I can beat you down, but you still going to be there. I don't like it. But when the mom said, I'm sorry, Ashley said, that's all that I wanted. But for you to say what you're sorry for. And when I tell you, I was like, thank you, Ash. Because most people would have just been like, okay, you're sorry, great. No, what Ashley wanted was for her to itemize the sorry, and I love that because that 360, I'm sorry for whatever I did to make you feel the way. Da, da, da. No, tell me exactly what you're sorry for. Not because I want you to stroke my ego, but I want you to hear, and I want you to be like, yes, this is this, this is this, this is that. Here for it. And Kimberly says she's sorry because of the way she makes things sound as if she left and I didn't. Again, you're not sorry. You're trying to sit here and justify it. Then says, I never knew the hurt until later on in life. You hold stuff in and didn't talk about it. So now you're saying you didn't know until later on in life. Well, here's the reality, Kimberly. How would you know what you're going through when you up, left, and moved in with a dude? How would you know? And then I guess she's expecting her daughter to reach out. And again, a lot of baby boomers feel this way. And it's trickled down into Generation X. I'm Generation Y, but it's trickled down to Generation X to where you call me. You're supposed to check up on me. And I've actually heard my mother say, when it came to her mom and whatnot, how she would always do this and da 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 da. And maybe that was indicative of that time, but the reality is I did not make me. You helped to create me. So if anything, why am I? No, hold on, because I'm actually starting to inject my real life in. This ain't the point time for that yet. But Why should I, as the child, have to sit here and reach out to establish a relationship with you? That's not my job, especially as a child. Anyway, because I'm about to go down a road I don't need to go down because I'm trying to save this energy for the end of this thing. Whew. Okay, where did I leave off on? Because here I go. And Ashley said, and she was like, "You didn't talk about it." And Ashley like, "We were not a talky family," and I can believe it. And Kimberly said, "We talked about everything." And Ashley says, "We talked about high level things, but nothing that mattered." Which I'm guessing she meant we talked about surface level stuff of things that we thought were important that really wasn't. And she says, "If something happened, it was my fault." And one thing I will say is I wish, never mind, not even going there. And then Kimberly says, "Cause you're bad or you were bad." And I'm like, "Oh, here we go." And Ashley said, "And what were you?" Now I know a lot of people did not like the energy that Ashley was giving her mother. I was here for it. Also, when Ashley walked into the house, she called her mother Kimberly. Says a lot. And Kimberly says, "We all make mistakes." I don't see it again. That's that issue I don't like. Where it's, well, we all make mistakes. Again, when people do like that, it means they are not trying to take accountability. And trust me, that is something that I people not owning their stuff. I don't like it. And then when you're trying to hold somebody accountable, them trying to hold you accountable for something, and it's like, we can talk about me after. We not here to talk about this. See, and that's another thing when people don't want to be held accountable, they're constantly latching on to one thing to shift the conversation to go down another direction because they don't want to stay on task. That's what I wish Ashley would have done, is just stayed kind of like stayed here, but they kept making left and right turns and stuff. And Ashley said, "All I wanted was for you to say, Ashley, I up and I left you." Kimberly says, "I didn't leave you." We're delusional. Ashley says, "We will never be able to resolve this. Maybe this is why I am so mature. Because I didn't ask for help. Because who's going to help me? Because nobody helped me back then." And Kimberly says, and this was that whole, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna shut this down. And when she said this, when I tell you, Ashley is a way better person than I would ever be, because I would have shook the table. Because again, I hear everything and I hear what ain't being said. But Kimberly says, "I was always there." Lie. I paid, and because it was certain classes. Like, I paid for these classes, so I must have believed in you. We're not talking about you believing in her. She says, "I'm all you had. I'm all, and I'm all you will ever have. You had, what is it? You had kids and a husband. But as long as I have breath in my body, I will be the one taking care of you." Right there is where she would have got cussed out, because pretty much you have literally now her reducing quick, cool, whatever. But you just reduce her offspring. You just reduce something that she brought into this world that she cares for. That, again, Ashley is way better. See this, when I tell you, this whole episode had me in my bag. Okay. Why is my watch going off? And then she says, "Our lives won't go on much longer." See, now it's, let me play the time is short card. When I tell you I know this book so well. And then she says, "You have to forgive in your heart." No, no, no. What you want is, you want for her to forgive you, so you don't have to be held accountable. So when you transition, no, it could be peaceful. Then she gonna say, "Conversation over." Now look, I'm under the weather and I'm giving y'all the best that I got. But I'm finna drink this pop. Mm-mm. Okay. Joe and Clifton. He's at a local scent store looking for scents for his beard oil. The guy behind the counter was saying, like, is it going to be multi-purpose? Because because he was trying to get him a gem, like, if it's beard oil, beard is hair, it could be multi-purpose for hair. And Joe was just like, "I even use it on my skin because I like the smell." But again, Cliff, do that, man. Joy brings up the wedding and how she's never, um, well, she's not moving fast, so she's moving real slow with it, and she's never dreamt about having a wedding. The whole princess thing. She just wants to be married. And then you have Cliff, where it's just like, well, isn't that the idea? Because it's supposed to be for the woman, this, that, and the third, and he would love to see her come down the aisle in the dress. Now, my thing is, Cliff, she doing you a solid because you have a lot of people, they just want the ceremony, they don't want the commitment. And also, I don't know y'all finances, and I ain't trying to get into it, but people go into that all for a celebration. Because I'm gonna keep it all the way a buck with you. If it's in my cards to get married, I hate to say it, we're going to the courthouse. Not because of it, because my thing is, we already got stuff that we trying to establish. Like, it's very stupid in my opinion, especially if there's not already funds available for a wedding, to put yourself in debt. And then if both of y'all have a car and now you trying to take out a mortgage for a whole, like, you are literally starting completely in the negative for something that you don't even know that's gonna last. Nah. So I mean, something about Joy don't sit right with me, but I'm here right there. And and she even said to him, like, we fell in love on TV. We got engaged on TV. What's left in it? Like, what's left for us? What's left for me? I understand it wholeheartedly. So now we get Ashley. So so it's Ashley, Alicia, and Quick. So at Alicia's in the car talking to Quick. They're planning the party. He wants to make sure that she's there early, not how she normally be. So everything turns out right. Ashley downloads Alicia on her meeting with her mother, said that she realizes, time in her life, like what has happened in her lifetime has shaped who she is, which that's a lot of our childhoods, and sometimes how we deal with things is because of what has gone on in our past. We just have to get to a point where we realize that. And she says, the wound that's trying to heal, my mother continues to pick at it. And Ashley, I got to get you on that one. That's your fault. Because and I'm saying this because I've been there where I've closed something off and somebody convinced me to open that cavity back up, you know and clean out everything and just like try to open yourself back up to something, and then I get hurt all over again. Been there. I would just say keep that door closed and deal with your mom in small increments and keep her at arm's length, and let her earn the ability to get back close to you. Don't just let her get back close to you. So we get Irana and Jamie. Long story short, he's retired. She downloads him on what happened with her and Winter. The mother, I'm sorry, he's interrupting her routine. They talk about sharing the workload at the house. And then he told her eat the pancake, and I ain't like that. Even though it was a joke, I looked at him like, Lawrence Fishburne. No, we ain't eating the cake around here. Tell her eat the, I can't curse, eat the dang on pancake. So here we go. Now we get to Ashley's B-Day surprise. So Alicia and Angela were assisting to put the whole thing together. Alicia isn't there yet. Ashley isn't surprised because she did the math of, okay, ain't nobody called me all day. I ain't seen nobody. Because I think what would have worked quick is if you spent the day with your wife and said, because she and said, oh, I'm gonna take you out to this club, or I'm gonna take you here, and then hit with the surprise. But hey, he did something. It's cute. Angela's notified that Alicia got into an accident and her car was totaled. She's okay but upset. Quick says, don't tell Ashley. I will tell her when I get home. And I know a lot of people have mixed feelings on that, but I understood it. And then also, like, my time, in the military and whatnot, especially like if I'm on mission and whatnot, I'm of the whole mindset of no matter how mad I get, if I'm on mission, if I'm on task, let me stay here. When it's all said and done, then let me know everything, because even though this isn't a mission, but still, you let me be in this moment, and I'll deal with everything else on the other end. He didn't want to ruin her birthday, and I understood it. Joe and Cliff are in Guatemala. Cool. Ashley, Raina, Quick, Alfred, which is Sherelle's husband, Sherelle. They talk about Joy. Now, Jamie Sr. is at the end of the table. Well, we just don't see him in this particular scene. Alfred says he feels Joy has a problem with him. No, she actually does. And says when they were in the band, Joy and his ex-girlfriend got cool. And a lot was left out that I didn't catch, but based off of what we're going to find out in next week's episode, he so Joy and her got cool, and allegedly, apparently, he started talking to Sherelle while still in a relationship with Joy. I mean, the best friend, and Joy felt away. So we'll see what happens. But Sherelle is upset because Joy got her blocked, and I feel as if it isn't for the show, Sherelle is just looking to have a problem with Joy. Just like when Sherelle was trying to say, like, don't get me involved in this, talking to Winter and whatnot, you're making yourself involved in it. So you're going to give yourself an aneurysm. Whatever. Sherelle, okay. As much as Joy gives me the wrong vibe, I just don't think I'm going to like Sherelle. I love her confidence as a big, thick girl. I just don't think I'm going to like Sherelle. I really don't. Ashley says, oh no, I didn't jump all the way down. Hold up. Oh, okay, hold on. And then no, I said that. So Irena shares Joy feeling the way about Alicia and Ashley questioning her, and this is like where it's just like, okay, Irena, you being messy. Especially because if you and Ashley are that cool of friends, you could have had a separate scene with her to tell her that. And again, this is her birthday. Why are you bringing this to her on her birthday? Arena being messy. I get that she's trying to help push, the season along in the storyline, but this is somebody's birthday. That I ain't like that. And Ashley says, when you're responsible for a child, every decision you make impacts that child. And that was the point I was trying to make. It didn't come across unless there was footage that was cut. That didn't come across, Ashley. And she said, I thought we left it there. So before they can take shots, and I'm going to finish out the scene and then we going to talk, okay? Before taking the B-Day shots, Jamie, who appears to be, I put tipsy, I think he was just gone. Far, like 10 sheets to the wind. Says that he wanted to thank Quick for stepping in and talk with Jamie Jr. You and I said the same things, but he received it differently. Quick's like, it's, you know, it's the whole messenger situation. And then Irena says she had a conversation with him about Junior's mental because he says he's not worthy to be here. And Jamie Sr. says Jamie Jr. is being a bum. Ashley says to Jamie Sr. that she knows how it feels to hear damaging stuff like that from a parent. She's been called the worst things about her mother. If she isn't on the trajectory her mother wants or not doing enough for her, then that's when she heard the worst stuff that makes you feel so low. Irena lets us know that Jamie Jr. sends her. So it's active. Even while they're in a confessional, I would assume messages saying that he's not mentally here and wants to harm himself. Okay. Jamie Sr. responds and he says, responds saying he is saying this for attention. He's been saying this for like 8 years since he was 16. Okay. The Silvers is saying to him, like, don't say that. Like, you need to take this seriously. Jamie Sr. says he's a spoiled brat. All the kids born in the 90s are the same. They feel entitled because they got parents like us that didn't have money, and we gave them everything that we couldn't have. And then he says to the Silvers, I don't want to hear it. It's nothing you can tell me. Ashley attempts to share her first time trying to OD over Motrin, and Jamie Jr. ain't trying to hear. And Ashley says years after, she tells us to us, years after the attempt, she still had thoughts, but never talked to anyone because they made things she was saying and seeking attention. 20 years later, something aroused, and she tried again. She wants Jamie Sr. to take this seriously. Then they finally take B-Day shots. Quick pulls Ashley aside to let her know that Alicia was in an accident. Ashley is upset because she wanted him to tell her right when she came in, so she's feeling away. She's pissed at Quick. And Quick, even though he's trying to push her to continue to have a good time, I will be annoyed because he was just like, let it go, da 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 da, and then she's he wants her to enjoy the remainder of her night, and Ashley says, Quick, she is not like him. He don't have real friends. I'm like, dang, nabbit Ashley. But look, Ashley was on one, and I understand it. So right quick, let me just go ahead and All right, I just had to make a mental note so I can put in the timestamp that the review is over. Now I'm just gonna talk. Okay. I know the feeling and what Jamie Jr. is possibly going through, right? So to give background, because so age 10, I literally had just turned 10. Like I said, I had thoughts of, sending myself to glory, right? And they were strong for about a good 2 years. It was almost like a every other thought type of thing. Never acted, definitely a thought, right? And the first time I told someone, and let me phrase it, told my relatives was in 2000. It was either 14 or 15 when I was in Korea because I told my mother. First time I've opened up to her about anybody that I'm related to. And then in 2016 when I said it to my eldest brother. And that just exploded and caused some other stuff. So I'll give you some background because it's that last conversation. And actually, that conversation was revisited last month. And same sentiments, right? So I'll give you guys the background so y'all can understand where the blow up happened. So in 1995, mother side family, my mother lost her baby sister and her only brother. We lost them within several months of each other, and that was rough. And that was the beginning of some shaky stuff because I had literally just transferred to Bethune Elementary because my middle brother had graduated Gregory, went to Manly. I was in Gregory, but went over to Bethune because that's where my first cousin was. My aunt that passed away. Her son. So I'm there. Now he lost his mom and everything. So obviously he's going through it. Obviously my mom is going through it because she just lost two siblings 1 year. Well, in the process of all of this, my cousin who I went to Bethune with had then moved in with one of his sisters. So now I'm in this school by myself. I've literally just uprooted myself from this school. I'm over here. What is going on? But I'm still making it work, right? Now, my mother's father had both his legs amputated. Had one and then the other, right? And I'm currently living in the apartment that I was born in, right? And my grandparents, my mother's parents, lived on the first floor, which is actually where my mother is, right? So, right before Thanksgiving in 1996, her father passes away. Which, in terms of holidays and Thanksgiving, like, what are we really being thankful for? Because we just lost the patriarch of the family. And my mother is dealing with lost her baby sister, lost her brother year before, just lost her father right before Thanksgiving, is having to deal with her mother because my mother was downstairs a lot, kind of checking up on her mom, and you can tell that her mother was, devastated, heartbroken. Well, shortly after Christmas, we lose her mother. So now my mother has lost both her parents within a month's time frame. And I was the closest to my grandmother, not my mother. So I'm like, so for me, right? It's dang, I done just lost my aunt. I done lost my only uncle on my mom's side. Papa gone. Now grandma gone. The only person that really understands me. So me at 10 years old, I'm going through. And again, I understand my mother's mentality because my mother did not check in on me. And I understood it because she is a single parent. She has two children. One in yeah. So one in high school, one still in grammar school. Having to take care of that. Now both her parents gone. She already lost two siblings, and then having to go through the transition of moving downstairs, and in the process of having to move downstairs, having to go through her parents' stuff, get stuff cleared out. Now being responsible because my mother inherited two apartment buildings where all of the family, minus her eldest sister, because she lived in South Holland, we all were here. And now there's gaps now because next door was my uncle, her sister, well, both her sisters, her baby sister lived in the basement. So now next door is only one sister, it was just the whole thing of, in a matter of 2 years, pretty much everybody that was closest gone. Everybody else ended up moving, literally leaving just my mother, my brother, and myself. Just here. So now all of what I know is gone, no longer exists, by myself. And again, for my mother being a single parent, now she has to sit here and traverse all of this and literally has to pack this stuff down because she still got to get out of here. She still got to work. She still has kids to take care of, two buildings now to take care of. Like, it's a whole lot. I understood why my mother never reached back to make sure that I was okay. It doesn't negate the fact that it didn't happen. And I also had no one to talk to because the only person I could talk to was grandma. Grandma ain't here. And because everybody was so focused on what they lost, they didn't care about me or some of the rest of us of what we were going through. And I couldn't talk to none of the dudes because what are they gonna tell me? Man up, man, this some you know what ish. So this is what I'm dealing with. And I done lost my support system. And that's helping y'all to paint the picture. Especially knowing that my cousin's gone, like literally, I am moving through this stage of my life by myself. Not to mention other stuff that was going on at that time. Never say anything to anybody. The only thing that really pulled me through, other than the Lord speaking to me, was using writing as a way to take everything from in here and put it on paper, and then being able to read through it and speak it, because that was the only release I had, because I had no one to talk to. And it lets you know, because my mother didn't find out until 2014-15, and my eldest brother found out in 2016, and the only reason he found out was it was our father's funeral, right? Father and I didn't have the greatest relationships. That ain't the part. The part is my my sibling decided I want to pick a fight with Yah. That happens a lot. And in the process of the conversation, he says, "You've been distant for many years." Now, hindsight being 2020, probably wasn't the time to spring this on him, but it's like, okay. Because I'm thinking, if I share with you why I've been distant, maybe this will open the gates of communication for there to be understanding. And I didn't even get a chance to, I gave y'all more detail than I gave him. But I said, we had these deaths, and when that happened, I thought, I want to do something about it. And his response to me was, I would never do no ish like that. And what is so interesting is last month, we finally talked about that, and he echoed the same exact thing. Nothing had changed since 2016. And that, and I said to him last month, because we had the time where I'm like, I'm telling you, had things played out differently, I wouldn't be talking to you now, and I wouldn't have been talking to you then. Like, this is like, it was some real stuff that I'm going through, and it's just, this is the reason why I like. And again, you found out in 2016. What would have happened had I told you in 1996, 1997, 1998? I'm one of the few that dealt with it in silence, that still has that was able to persevere through it. And not everybody can, right? Even to the point where I was in the military, I was qualified. It's a program called ASSIST, Applied Suicide Intervention Skills Training. Went through it twice because they changed up some of the stuff. Take it very seriously. In watching this show and in hearing this, when I tell you, it infuriated me because it brought me to certain points in my life of revisiting some of this, where you have Jamie saying that his son has been saying this since he was 16. So even if your son was crying out for attention, red flag. My son is crying out for attention. Something might be wrong. Let me look into it. Him being a police officer, even though I ain't in that field, I'm adjacent to it. You're not finna sit here and tell me that the police department does not have programs in place to where if some traumatic happens to a police officer, that he or she cannot seek counseling, and some of that counseling is also extended to the family. So your son is going through something, but you don't want to sit here and get your son looked at. And if I have to bank, Jamie is a late generation Xer. I'm sorry, he's an early generation Xer or a late baby boomer. Regardless of the mentality of what goes on in this house stays in this house. If anything, we're gonna talk to the reverend or the pastor, and most of the time we ain't talking to that person. So your son is going through it. You know of it. You actually have the means to get something done, but you don't want to do it because you don't want to leak out, because you don't want it to affect your profession, your business, your. Do y'all not realize how backwards that is? So your son is crying out for help for years. You do nothing. You say nothing. The only thing you can say is he's a spoiled brat. He's this. He's that. Then you have someone, Ashley, trying to let you know, been there. And even though you overcome it, and she actually made an attempt, you overcome it, the thoughts are there. And they came back. You have someone trying to tell you, pay attention to your son. I'm gonna let it go. I really am, because I feel like I'm about to sit here and say some stuff, and I'm about to sit here and run all the way down, and then this video gonna get demonetized, which I really don't care about that. But I'm gonna just start saying some stuff, and I'm gonna lose my cool, and I'm already, my voice is already starting to go, because look, I'm already under the weather. I'm just toughing it through. Look, that's it. I'm done. Rate, comment, subscribe, and share. I'll see y'all later. I'm out of here. Bye.